you. It was a very heavy time, but I was very thankful for you for being there for the community. And also, you inspired me to get into printmaking, and I've been doing it for the last 4 years.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Two more questions. All right, well, thank you, Cruz Ortiz. Please go and help yourself to some of the hors d'oeuvres here, complimentary of Mark's hourly. We'll be right back with you, our next speaker, in a moment. All right, everyone. We're about to pull up our next speaker. All right, we're about to start with our next speaker. Thank you. All right, thank you very much. Again, thanks again, Marcus Howling, for hosting us these last couple of days and a few more days. And thank you for Dream Week for doing what you do every year so wonderfully. And this year's theme, we are neighbors. Coming up to speak with us, Francie Million. Francie Million is the reigning Miss San Antonio, USA 2024. I'm gonna say it again because that's not good. She's the reigning Miss San Antonio 2024. She's placed first runner-up at the 2024 Miss Texas USA pageant, where she was the only Latina in the top 5. She is a former Miss San Antonio Teen USA and Miss Grand Texas, and the first Uruguayan to obtain state titles in the United States and compete nationally, placing third runner-up at Miss Grand United States. A proud fur mom to her rescued Frenchie Simone, Francie is an active volunteer who has partners with Be Well Texas, Special Olympics Texas, Guadalupian Gardens, through projects and in Powerhouse San Antonio. She also volunteers at Jenny's Rescue, where she adopted Simon. Additionally, Francie mentors at a pageant school in Uruguay. Did I say that right? Uruguay. Say it, no, give it to me right. Uruguay. All right, yeah, give it to me right. And the godmother of the Action Culture to Go Association, which supports an orphanage in Africa. She is dedicated to empowering minority children through mentorship and leadership programs for sharing her definition of success. Fluent in Spanish, Francie is a passionate advocate for her Latin community and is pursuing a career in real estate. She is also a columnist for Bernie Monthly Magazine and the host of the TV show Society with Karen Grace. Francie's goal is to raise awareness of important causes and positively impact as many lives as possible. Ladies and gentlemen, our reigning Miss San Antonio USA 2024 pageant winner, Francie Million.
Well, thank you guys so much for having me. I'm super duper excited, super proud and grateful, especially for the Dream Week organization. I'll be sharing with you guys a little presentation, which is usually ones that I use for the kiddos. I think the most important and the key to our success as a country, but more than anything as in the world, is the kids. I mean, they are our future. But though it's for the kids, shouldn't anybody be available and willing to, strive for success or achieve their goals and their dreams? So that is why I'm here today, to hopefully motivate you guys to get up running and continue to, follow your dreams. So my slide is called Success Isn't Found, It's Formed in Resilience. It's not about how many times you fall, it's about how many times you get back up. And then I quoted my dad up there because my dad taught me that little message. It's just a little button on the side. There we go. So what is success? Does anybody know what the meaning of success truly is? Or anybody can tell me?
Get your own goals.
Get your own goals. We have one right here. Does anybody else have a definition tonight that success is?
And plans.
Get their plans as well. There we go. Well, in reality, there's no right or wrong answer. No one really knows what success is. Success is truly determined by people's values, experiences, and what they deem, achievable from their goals. Now, here's a little bit about my background. I'm a first-generation American daughter to 2 immigrants from Uruguay. My parents left everything behind, including their family, home, and everything they pretty much knew, just to give their children a better way of life when they arrived in this country. Them two by themselves and their younger children. My brothers then were 6 and 4. That was until I was born. The only girl in the family, but alongside two younger brothers. You know, I saw my dad go through a lot of setbacks. Though he is a successful entrepreneur, motivational speaker, I saw him fall so many times, and I can honestly say, not once did he crack, and that was my first vision of what resilience was. I saw this man work as many jobs as he could find, and he always told me, you know, I want to provide you guys with everything you need, and it will always be a loving home, a roof over your head, and food. I can provide you with that. I've seen my dad work countless jobs, including in a restaurant to knocking doors as a salesman, and you know, now I can say he's vice president of a sales company. Not yet has he learned to speak English. He's currently in his classes, but he was able to succeed at only speaking Spanish. So how it all began. So funny story. Being the only girl growing up in a family of 4 boys, I just wanted to play soccer. My parents are from Uruguay. Uruguay is the second smallest country in South America. We're known for soccer. A little bit of wine and a little bit of meat. If you guys have gone to Fogo de Chao or Chamagaucha, it's very similar to what our culture is like. But I had an older brother. My older brother started watching Miss Universe when he was 7 years old, and for some reason he looked at me and he said, I think we're gonna go to Miss Universe. And at that point I said, I don't think I'm for those things. He ended up bribing me. He said, let me do your makeup, let me teach you how to walk. He used to pretend that we'd have Miss Universe pageant. I'd always win, of course, because there's no one else competing with us. And in return, I would get snacks and phone time. And I think for a 4-year-old, I think that's the best thing you want to get, snacks and phone time. What could be any better? Next thing you know, I turned 14 years old, and he thought it was time for me to compete in the Miss Latina San Antonio pageant. It was my first pageant. He ended up being my director, my makeup artist, my fashion coach, my fashion stylist, my therapist, and we ended up winning. I don't know how we did it, but at that point he said, as soon as I saw you come out on stage, my vision came to life, and we kept going. Next thing you know, I ended up going on to win the Miss San Antonio Teen USA pageant. I went on to compete for the Miss Grand Texas pageant, ended up winning. That made me the first woman with my cultural background to achieve the state title. Went on to compete to Miss Grand USA. One of the proudest moments of that pageant was not placing 3rd runner-up and almost going to the 2nd biggest pageant in the world. It was, in fact, on my speech round, and they asked me, what can you offer this organization? And I remember at that point in time, I'm so grateful for everything my family has done for me. My mom doesn't speak English, but at this point, my mom's also going to hear my answer. I ended up becoming the first woman in the United States to speak in Spanish and English on the national stage. A lot of people say, something like that can cost you the crown. But at that point, when my mom was sitting down at home and watching the live stream, I said, she needs to hear this because she's one of the main reasons why, this has all been possible. I came back home and my brother decided, why don't you come and try Miss San Antonio USA again, but now it's a Miss. I said, Marco, I'm not sure if I fit the Miss Texas USA organization. They always have a look, they always have a stereotype. I'm not really the look and I'm not really the stereotype. He said, please, just do it for me. I ended up winning Miss San Antonio USA, going on to Miss Texas USA. Next thing you know, they started calling out all the 100 girls. If you guys watch Miss Universe, we actually had Miss Texas USA, Army Gabriel, win Miss Universe. She won Miss Texas, she won Miss USA, and she won Miss Universe. So it's a straight road map to Miss USA. At that point, the top 15 was called. I was number 8, I couldn't believe it. I healed my inner child. And then went to the top 5, started calling the girls out, and then there was one left. I don't know where they called me, and I was like, OMG. I made it. I just remember looking to the side, and my best friend was right over there, and my brother-in-law started jumping for joy. And I remember looking to the side of the contestants. One, I'm the shortest, and 2, I'm the only Latina. I said, oh, well, that is rewarding. Then we proceeded to place first runner-up, and we realized that this was one of the biggest accomplishments we had made at this point in time. The pageant had ended, and I remember seeing a bunch of moms and girls come up to me and say, because you're not afraid of where you come from, because you talk so proudly about your culture, my daughter can have someone that relates to her, someone that she can look up to. And at that point, I remember getting off stage, and my brother said, thank you so much for making my dream come true, because I know I really would not be here if I didn't want you to compete, and you did it for me. But all this truly wouldn't be possible without setbacks. Before winning Miss San Antonio USA, I lost twice. And that hurt. And you were 14 years old, this is your dream. We lost twice. But hey, we kept coming back and we made it happen. And on my third try, I ended up winning the San Antonio Team USA. I ended up competing for Miss Texas Team USA 3 times, never placed. So now coming back as a Miss and being able to place first runner-up, that's what I mean by doing my inner child. Then we went on to go into modeling. I remember they looked at me and they said, "You are too short, you will never be able to model." I ended up walking on New York Fashion Week last February. I made it happen. Then I was told, and this is very sad, throughout my competition in Miss Texas USA, I was told because I had immigrant parents and an immigrant background, I couldn't represent my state. I was told it was a certain look, I was told it was a certain prototype. I remember walking into my interview and I told my judges right then and there, P.S. my director said, "Why would you ever do that?" But at that point I said, "Look, if I don't win today, I'm okay with that. Because I'm so proud of what I've done since San Antonio, and as long as my brother and my family is grateful and proud of who I am, that's all that matters." Then I was also told, right then and there, to leave my team behind. And if you guys have heard throughout my whole story, my brother was my team. With the people that I started with, I'm a firm believer that's the people you went with. But they told me, leave your team and start working with people that are known in the industry. I ended up not doing that, and we still placed as high as we did. I was told that I had no purpose in my life because I didn't have a college education. That was the ones that hurt me the most. I was told you will never achieve anything because you don't have a college education. I saw my dad become the vice president of a sales company. He did not have a college education. He didn't speak English. So that proved to me right now, whatever your dream is, whether you want to go into the trade market, whether you want to be an artist, you don't need a piece of paper hanging on the wall to tell you you are successful. I was also told that because I didn't come from a wealthy family or have a high economic status, I wouldn't be taken into consideration or considered. That would hurt a lot. I had someone rub a family member on the shoulder and say, "Oh, you're cheering for Francie." Poor girl. No, she doesn't have the money. She's not going to make it. And the last one that hurt me the most was whenever my parents were right there in the room, I didn't feel like I was going to make it. I remember I was going into my finals, and my dad texted me and said, "Hey, let's have some breakfast." At that point, hearing that, girls can be mean, but hearing that then and there, I said, "Okay, let's go for breakfast." I sat down on the table with my dad. My brother was like, "I'm so proud of you." This is before walking into finals. "I'm so proud of you. You made this happen." My dad looked at me and said, "Okay, cut it. I'm gonna tell you this right now. I don't like quitters. I don't like losers. I didn't spend my money for you to come here and lose. With that being said, you have Uruguayan blood and go show them why you should win. Because if I didn't believe you would win, I wouldn't be here." My dad is a very sensitive man, so he doesn't see my passions. But my dad was right then and there, and I realized it doesn't matter what people are saying about my background. It doesn't matter what people are saying about my economic status. At the end of the day, my family is here. My family is proud, and that's how we went on to place first runner-up. Now, the moral of the story is my definition of success. How did I get there prior to all my competitions, after hearing everything that was being said? I lost myself and you lose yourself. When you're being told no because of this and because of that, you lose yourself. For me, I decided I need to go back to the root of what made me feel successful, what made me feel confident, and more than anything, what made me feel at home. And that was my dad. And this all happened prior to competing. At that point, I had lost myself, and I was told that I was getting paid too much for someone that didn't have a college education. I ended up quitting that job, going back home, and I told my dad, "Dad, I'm not going to amount to anything." I did an event, and it was mentioned up there. It was called Through Project, which is a mentorship organization. So pretty much all they do is they look for mentors to take care of foster children. All they want is someone that's going to be active, going to be responsive. I remember going to one of the events, and the organizer looked to me. I had just lost my job. I was being told all these things by a person that I thought meant a lot to me, someone that I thought was a mentor. And I told her. She said, "You should definitely be a mentor." I looked at her and I said, "Ma'am, why should I be a mentor? I don't have anything. I'm not anything." She looked at me, she said, "Girl, do you think I want you to walk in here with the newest Louis Vuitton, a Rolls Royce, and a Rolex? These kids don't even have parents. So I think you're doing pretty fine on your own." That snapped me back to reality. I went home and I told my dad. My dad turns to me and he says, "Francie, do you not think I'm successful?" And at that point in time, what do I tell my immigrant father, who left his family, left his home, left everything behind? How do I tell my immigrant father if I don't think he's successful? I said nothing. He proceeds to tell me, I'm going to teach you something, and I want you to share it and remember it always. Success is not determined by materialistic things in life, where you come from, what you look like, whether you have a college education or not, whatever God you choose to believe in, whatever person you choose to love. It's determined by how many times you fall down and get back up. Because only a successful person can come back up. That was something that hit me so hard at that point in time that I realized right then and there, and I said, Dad, you are so right. Because it is true. We have big goals, we have small goals. We're not gonna always win. We're not gonna always achieve them on the first try. But if you keep coming back and you keep going back at it, there's a really likely chance that you will achieve it or you will win. So right then and there, I started putting my whole heart into working into my community and everything I have been truly able to connect. At that point in time, I realized, I don't have to win Miss Texas to be successful. I decided that I want to actually use my title for something important. I didn't want to give up my crown and be known as Francie who placed, Francie who didn't place, Francie who became Miss Texas, Francie who wins Miss USA. I wanted to be known as Dame the Juicy everything Francie was able to accomplish in 365 days of her reign. I ended up going on to work with 50 to 60 organizations across the state of Texas. A lot of those are highlighted right then and there, which they were mentioned on the bio, Gartopian Gardens. I was able to work with Empower House. I was able to work with Special Olympics, Jenny's Rescue, where I got my friend sheet, and up on the left, high left, those were community events that my parents were putting together and hosting. At that point in time, I remember my parents didn't have much, but my parents always said, it doesn't matter if you have a little or you have a lot. Always be sure to help. And I remember we ended up filling up a U-Haul, and we ended up going, and I believe that was for hurricane survivors. Then I also went on to be a godmother for the Action Culture Association. The way that happened was I started, because a mentor hurt me, I ended up becoming the mentor that I wish that I had. So I ended up working with kids internationally. Out of nowhere, I started getting asked, do you want to work with this orphanage in Togo? And I said, yes, tell me a little bit more about it. We ended up covering their meals for the past months. Something as simple as sending a little bit of money. A little here goes a long way over there. And we ended up covering meals, something as simple as spaghetti. And that's something I tell people every day, just get involved, see how you can help. These kids were able to eat spaghetti. I mean, guys, we can get that right now. Walmart, if you want to make it yourselves, HEB, you can go to any local restaurant. You can even jump on your phone on DoorDash and Uber Eats, and Uber Eats yourself some spaghetti. Some of them didn't even get to, have never even tried. Something else that I'm super proud of is right now, I have created the Francine Lalonde School Scholarship for these children in Thailand. So in Thailand, the government only covers school from 1 to 4 years. I'm working with a village in Thailand, 8 hours from Bangkok, and they reached out to me because in the Miss Grand organization, it is very Thai-based, and I happen to learn a little bit of Thai. They reached out to me and they said, do you want to come visit us and do you want to get involved? When I found out how much it is to cover a kid's school over there, I realized, I wasn't able to go to college here because of the adversities that my family went through. But if I'm able to, out of my paycheck, to cover for a kid's school, I would definitely do it because maybe I didn't have that opportunity, but if I could give it to someone else, I will. So right now, I'm putting 1 kid through school in Thailand, and in hopes to, in a couple of years, they would put up to 5 through school right now in Thailand. Another really cool thing that I was able to do was, I'm currently writing a children's book. It is called Simone Gramano, which translates to Simone the Goodest Boy. It's about my friendship. I was really lost at that point in time, and my friendship came right when I needed it. And he was a sweetheart, he was put through abuse, he was neglected. We ended up bringing him back to health. And now he's beautiful, he's super chunky, and people ask me all the time, did you buy him? I'm like, no, I got him from the shelter. People are like, really, a French bulldog? I'm like, yeah, any dog, anything can be found in any shelter. So I like to motivate people to adopt and not shop. So the book is primarily so that the proceeds can go towards children and education and to Jenny's Rescue. So that book will be coming up, and it helps to be right now it's in English and Spanish, English for kids that are learning Spanish, or English and vice versa. But a lot of these experiences were thankfully able to be made because my dad had connected that message to me that now I get to work with kids and share it with them because it is true. Success is not determined by materialistic things. They don't matter at the end of the day. It truly is those little goals that you go through accomplish and that makes you successful. Don't let anybody tell you that you're not successful if you know in your heart that you are. But that right there is one of the little slides that we use for the kids. But I thought that it would be really, really fun to share with you guys.
I've read this a couple of times, so you know what time it is. Any questions?
Yes. And it can be anything, guys. Don't be shy.
I have two questions.
Yes.
My first question is, what are you looking to do as far as getting a further education if that is something that you want to do?
So I decided to go into real estate. You know, I think people's biggest dream, or mostly everyone's biggest dream, is that really big purchase, which is their home. You know, as an immigrant child, and my parents were always trying to find that home here. I really love right now I actually work in California City with this more junior real estate team. And I love being able to help people find their forever home and fulfill that American dream that most of us have.
My second, it's a comment, not a question. I'm working with the Dream Week team as a volunteer.
Well, thank you for volunteering your time to make all
Yeah.
this happen.
But my organization is the AmeriCorps program. And so if you've never heard about AmeriCorps, it's like Peace Corps but stateside. This is my 6th term. And I also had a lot of diversity in my life. And I wouldn't have been able to go to school without the N word. And so under AmeriCorps, if you look at the Pell Grant, I think it's $7,395. If you serve in AmeriCorps for your first term, you can get that. For your second term, you can get that. They forbear your loans if you have any, so you don't pay any interest. You get a stipend, living allowance. If you have a child, you get childcare. So shameless plug, $1,700 is doable. Right now in San Antonio, you can read for children, communities and schools, they're right here next door. You can serve at American Indian Texas, they're also right here next door, they have American members. You can serve under Public Allies, which was Michelle Obama's creation back in Chicago, and it's come to San Antonio, it's now in about its 15th year. They are all over the city. I'm with the American Heart Association under AmeriCorps, and if you have any kid who can't go to college, it is a way to not only be able to pay the way for you to go to college, but also to be able to work from day one in a position that will create opportunities for you in the future. I've served 6 terms. I'm like addicted to AmeriCorps, but I've always done it. I have a professional career outside of that. So I've always done it as a way to pivot to something else. But I've also always done it because it's a way when I forget what it means to really serve, I can go back and remember. So through the pandemic, I was serving with an organization. I was very back on the data side and I was doing all the heavy lifting with a pencil, but I wasn't able to see the impact in my community. I live over here on Martin Luther King where there's a beautiful mural. I don't know who did it, but it was the most fantastic thing I saw that day. I didn't even know it happened. And this is my community. This is the community I love. This is the thing that I always want to get back to. I work for Live Fund over here on Hackberry. I serve Public Allies. I work for numerous community organizations, but it's because I just want to give. And everyone says you have to get paid. You can keep serving, but everybody needs to eat, right? So AmeriCorps make sure you eat, and then make sure you can also go to college. And you get to do some pretty cool things like serving Dream Week in the interim. So if you ever don't want to do real estate, please come and do AmeriCorps.
No, but I'd love to work with you guys because one of the biggest things, in San Antonio is you get a lot of visibility. And that was one of the reasons I went early into community service, because one of the things that I'm very passionate about is, sometimes when we get back to your community, like you were saying, it's not always about money, it can be about time. Just 1 hour a day on a Saturday or on a Sunday, if you really have nothing else to do, you can go down to the local animal shelter. Me and Kevin have done it 1,000 times, we always want to take the dog home, we realize we can't because we have them at home. But you just go out there, you have some fun with them, you play with them. The same with kids. I love Gardonian Gardens, usually at 9 a.m. they garden with the kiddos and we teach them sustainability through culture. I studied ag in school, so I loved it. So the whole purpose is, sometimes, giving back to your community is not only monetarily, but it can be, through community service hours. But I would love to get involved with you. So before I head out, I definitely want your card and let's make it happen. Because I know there's a lot of kids and a lot of people, even young adults, that go through life thinking they will never achieve a college education because they don't have those possibilities. And sometimes it's because they simply haven't heard about it. So definitely stay in touch. Does anybody else have any questions? Yes.
Have you ever thought about politics? Have you ever thought about politics?
My dad wants me to go into politics.
You would be amazing.
I love my dad.
You would be
I'm
amazing.
like, wait a minute, there's a mayoral seat up for
Thank
grabs.
you. So my dad actually would love for me to go into politics. We talked about it multiple times. Since I've been in pageantry, believe it or not, I was pretty shy growing up, and I always tell everybody, you have a daughter, throw her into pageantry because it will teach her public speaking. I'm only 22 years old, and I've just been, they put you out on the line, and you're like, okay, what do I do? You gotta figure it out. But my dad's a very wise man. He's lived many years. He's traveled many countries, and he's lived the hard ones here. So with that being said, I listened to it, but I'd love to be the first of my cultural background to be a politician. Thank you.
All right. Any other question? Well, ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Francie. Wow. All right, so neighbors, we are neighbors. Make sure that as you're leaving, that if you don't know somebody, because we're neighbors. And this wraps up today's speaker series for Dream Week 2024. Please make sure to go 2025. Thank you. Please make sure you go to the websites. Events are updating. There are things going on. I think Joe said there was somewhere around 150 to 160 other events. Please, please, please like, share, follow, push it out. If you can't go, send somebody else. My name is Dr. Sully. Dr. Sully Speaks, organic coaching and consultant, certified personal development coach. One thing I'm gonna say, just because this wonderful motivational speaker and pageant winner talked about how she speaks at school. I am a dyslexic, and so having a triple doctorate was very hard being a dyslexic. And still to this day, thank you very much, Mr. Ortiz.
I know, like you still did it though.
It was when we rock, I can talk all day long, but if I read those words, you gotta dance. You gotta dance. But that's okay, because you come give me a charge. I'm gonna give you both a charge also. So I believe, and I don't know if there's an actual space, that true speaking, not just influencing and not just motivation, but true speech, the art of speech is an art. And so I would like to find, as you go to a more intensive place, for you to find a place for those of us whose art is speaking. And I'd love to help with any of that. All right, everyone, please come back to Mark Outing, high five somebody, hug somebody. Tomorrow,
The last day on this place.
tomorrow, this is the last speaker series here at Mark Outing, and I think then we'll go to the Dakota House next week.
Next week, week 2, yes.
All right, next week we'll be at Dakota House around the corner. All right, everybody, please have a safe night and continue to love each other. We are neighbors.
Thank you.